Hello everybody, today we will test the Noctua NF-A9 against the Arctic F9 fans. Both fans are controlled by PWM, but comparing the data, the Arctic fans should perform not as good as the Noctuas. The Noctua fans have 200 more RPMs and a higher airflow, 73.1 to 78.9 cubic meter per hour. The static pressure on the Noctuas is nearly double of the Arctic fans. But the Arctic fans are twice as cheap as the Noctuas. Do they also perform twice as bad? Let's find out. The first difference we already see is that the Arctic fans are not stopping in the 0 RPM mode. They are spinning continuously. It seems like the 0 RPM mode is implemented with a low PWM threshold. The PWM rate is not set to 0, but it's just below the minimum for the stock fans to spin. The minimum RPM on the Noctuas is 400, but on the Arctics it's only 150. I assume due to the lower minimum RPM on the Arctics, the PWM signal in 0 RPM mode on the card is enough to let them spin continuously. This is actually not bad, because at this speed they are unhearable and keep the air moving, avoiding temperature spikes. On my passive cooled system I had the issue that the air in the case stood still. The GPU heated up during the 0 RPM mode, and after a while the stock fan spun up quite loud for about 5 to 10 seconds and then turned off again. This happens repeatedly every couple of minutes and was really annoying, so I ended up letting them continuously spin on the lowest level to avoid this issue. With the Arctic fans, this fix is already built in. These are the hardware info logging results. Please feel free to pause the video at any time to compare the results without hassle. The red line shows the stock fans, the green the Noctua fans, and the blue line is showing the Arctic fans. Let's compare the default GPU profile. This is the default setting in Adrenaline without any modification of fan speed, GPU clock or power target. We see the Noctua cooler performs not as good as expected. The Noctua fans are about 1 degree behind the Arctic fans. On the third graph, the power graph, we see that there is no temperature-based power throttling. The clock speeds in the fourth graph are in favor of the Arctic fans and get us 20 MHz more than with the Noctua fans. Here we see the loud GPU profile. It has stock clock speeds and stock power target. Only the fan profile is changed in the loud preset. In general, we see here the same picture. The Arctic fans keep the card about 1 to 1.5 degree cooler, but on the average clock speeds, the Noctua fans get 10 MHz more than the Arctics. The heat-up scenario shows the GPU under constant full load. In the default preset, the power target is completely stock. Here we see that all coolers are nearly identical. The stock fans perform slightly better, but the 1 degree difference lies within measurement tolerances. The card is using its all potential without throttling. The clock speeds are also nearly identical. Let's come to the long-awaited overclocking results. In this last chart, we see the fans with 100% fan speed and 115% power target. The card is using here 40 watts more than with the stock power target. We see that the stock fans can handle this additional heat better than the Arctic and the Noctua fans. Surprisingly, the Arctic fans perform slightly better than the Noctua fans. Despite the higher temps, the card is not throttling on any of the fans. I retested everything many times and this result remained constant. The Arctic fans perform slightly better or equal to the Noctua fans, although the data specifications of the Noctua fans are better. I think the reason for that is that the Arctic fans are always spinning, and this leads to more consistency in the temperatures. The card starts cooler into the benchmark and the fans do not have to ramp up from the 0 RPM mode. The slight delay while the Noctuas are ramping up compensates the better specs. Overall, I think the Noctuas and the Arctics perform in this use case equal or in a manner that you will not see any difference during daily use. The important part is that the temperatures are not critical at all and that the card is not throttling. The benchmarks confirm our data from the charts. In general, the stock fans perform slightly better, but as you can see, it's always just a tiny bit. They are about 0.5% better than the Noctuas and about 0.9% better than the Arctics, but these differences are within the measurement tolerances, so in the real world you will see no difference. On a noise level, we see a small difference in favor to the Noctua fans, but this difference is only about 1 decibel and lies within the measurement tolerance also, so there is no real winner here. In comparison to the stock fans, the Noctuas and the Arctics are dead silent and definitely worth the mod when you're looking for a silent system. Considering the price difference, the Noctua fans cost more than twice as much as the Arctic fans, €20 for the Noctuas and $8.99 for the Arctics. Sadly, the Arctic fan is out of stock everywhere, even on the Arctic homepage. I don't know if this fan is discontinued, but you can get them only used in Germany. Arctic gives 10 years warranty on the fans, so it's not a deal breaker for me. I bought mine used too. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of Arctic fans. They are way cheaper than the most fans and perform nearly the same as the best fans you can buy. Arctic has also value packs where you can get 5 pieces for €27. If you buy 5 Noctua fans, you have to pay about €100. In conclusion, both fans perform nearly identical, the price makes the difference. If you can get the Arctics, then go for it. Otherwise, if you have some money to spend, you can also go for the Noctuas. If you know some 92mm fans which you would like me to test, just let me know in the comments. That's it for today, hope you liked the video and see you next time.